Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel and this is Dearly Departed, where we look at the teams that have escaped my normal realm of the Championship, and we're going to talk about Villa, Sheffield United, Leeds, West Brom and Fulham, who were all in action up in the Premier League. We're going to do a review of each one of their games. So leave your bias at the door and come and hear, hopefully, an objective review of all of that. Before we go any further, we need to say thank you to Jay, who is our fan sponsor of this show. Dearly Departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us. Marching on together at the end there from Jay. And we have a business sponsor today as well, sponsoring the whole channel, fanfirst.co.uk, a user-generated ratings website. Head over to fanfirst.co.uk, register your email and your team, get rating. If you watched any of these games I'm about to talk about, you can go ahead and rate the players, the managers, the referee, even the VAR in these Premier League games. Give your scores out of 10. Everybody loves to read the ratings. Everybody loves to give their ratings. Put your money where your mouth is and head over to Fan First. Here are our Premier League results, and our dearly departed teams are in there, obviously. And we are not interested in Everton, Liverpool, or Chelsea, Southampton, or Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man United. But Sheffield United won, Fulham won. No dearly departed until Sunday lunchtime there. Palace won, Brighton won. Spurs 3, West Ham 3. And then Villa win again. Leicester 0, Villa 1 was the last game on Sunday. Then two dearly departed teams in action yesterday on the Monday. It was West Brom 0, Burnley 0. And Leeds 0, Wolves 1. So let's start with our dearly departed flag bearers who win again. And it was Leicester 0, Villa 1. Villa's sensational start to the season continues. Brilliant stuff from the boys in claret and blue. They're very stable. Team selection is very predictable, which is never really a bad thing. Obviously, Ross Barkley has come in and now played the last two games, which has facilitated a slight little tweak in the team, hasn't it? Dean Smith, for the longest time, had been more a 4-1-4-1 guy. Now, more a 4-2-3-1, which I think helps a lot, doesn't it? It gets McGinn alongside Douglas Luiz there, you can see. And then Barkley can come in and help Jack Grealish a bit more, so he's not sort of isolated in games and farmed out on the left-hand side, expected to work his magic. Across the back, very stable now all season. Martinez, Cash and Target are the fullbacks, with Mings and Konza now a really solid central defensive partnership there. Looking very, very nice. For Leicester, there, Schmeichel, Castagna, Fofana, Evans, Justin, Mendy sitting, Barnes, Pratt, Tielemans, Perez, with Iheanacho up front. And it was a late goal for Villa that took this game right into stoppage time, in fact. And how good is this? Look, Ross Barkley, yes, we can see it's a low percentage chance. He's a long, long way out there. There's players between him and the goalkeeper. You can see Evans, is he possibly blocking Schmeichel's line of sight there? It doesn't really matter, because how good is that? Look, right in the side netting, low right footer from Barkley. Villa breakaway to get that goal and get another victory. Outstanding stuff. Here are the numbers. 50-50 on the possession. 11 shots to 10 for Leicester, but only 5-4 on target. A bit of territory there. 7 corners to 2 in Villa's favour. Big chances are revealing. 1 big chance to 0. So forget that Villa created 1 big chance. Obviously didn't score from it because Barkley's chance is very low percentage. They didn't concede any big chances. That is revealing and very good news for Villa. The passes, Leicester on top of that one. But that does not matter. A brilliant, brilliant start for Villa. If we bang through those results now, the 1-0 victory over Sheffield United, a 3-0 win at Fulham, then that crazy 7-2, and now a far more sensible, and for people, and I'll go on to this in a minute, for people like me who like clear examples of what's going on, I love a performance like this. A nice 1-0 away win where you don't concede any big chances. Lovely stuff from Villa. 4th straight victory. Sensational stuff. You can see at the bottom there, Manchester City cancelled. I wonder if that helped for 2 reasons. One, a little bit of a longer pre-season. And 2, Man City would have been a tricky game to begin with. And, Villa eased in a bit more with Sheffield United and Fulham. Nonetheless, does not detract from a perfect start. 4 wins from 4. And coming up, super dearly departed derby, Villa versus Leeds this Friday. And then a game against Southampton, 2 home games. And the way Villa are playing at the moment, they're going to think that both of those are highly, highly winnable. So, massive, massive hats off to Aston Villa. Superb start. Another really good result, but a far, far more sustainable thing for people who, like me, who want to look at the numbers and who don't get carried away by a win over a red card or one over a terrible Fulham defensive performance. Then a mental 7-2, which we just don't know how to process. My brain can process a lovely 1-0 win with a nice late goal that was good technique and no big chances conceded. And I do want to speak directly to Villa fans here because I had some pretty disappointing comments on my preview where I said much the same thing. You need to understand what we're doing here if this is going to work. I'm not a fan channel, yeah? So a fan channel at the moment, which is great, and Villa's a big club, I'm sure there are plenty. A fan channel will be saying after those first 3 games, this is amazing, brilliant, wonderful. We've won 3 games and we just beat Liverpool 7-2. That's great. But my last remit on Villa was a preview video where I was previewing this game. So I'm not a fan channel, so I'm not going to be sitting there like a cheerleader. I'm looking at the evidence, and what I said, and I do feel quite vindicated actually, was for me to find within my brain that I think Villa are actually going to be a comfortable top half team this season. I need to see a performance that's a bit more bland and obvious, to be honest, where we're not judging a red card. We're not judging the other team just being terrible like Fulham were. We're not judging this mad 7-2 crazy game. This I can look at as a sustainable performance. No big chances conceded. Away win. Late goal. Solid team selection. This I like a lot. That was the point I was trying to get at in my preview. And I think, and this is the minority, but I got some comments from Villa fans who didn't quite understand that I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not going to come on in an Aston Villa shirt and wave a flag and, do it that way. I was looking at the evidence, and now I can now see 4 straight victories, and this one is a really good, sustainable win. I can see a solid team shape. I can see the goalkeeper has now come in behind the 2 centre-halves, and there's a very solid-looking basis for clean sheets now with Konza Mings and Martinez. And the thing that's really puts it over the top now for me, for Villa, is the addition of Barkley and the slight tweak where you now look and is there an over-reliance on Grealish anymore? Well, probably not. Look at this game. Barkley in the 10 position gets the winning goal. So, for those Villa fans, and I got, one saying I was a Villa hater, and it's like, wow, go figure. Just understand that not coming out as a cheerleader and really praising a team is not the same thing as criticising them. It's really not. I was looking for a sustainable performance where I can now go ahead and think, okay, top 10, top 8, what are we looking at here? I've got some evidence now, and I think we got one here away at Leicester. So fantastic stuff from Villa. I'm looking at the evidence, I'm looking at the numbers. It looks very good for Villa. The results are great, the team selection is stable, and things look viable, more so after this victory than any of the other three, is my opinion. Get your opinion down there in the comments. Sorry if that came across as a tirade. I have a very good relationship with Villa fans, and it was the minority who probably haven't watched me before and don't really understand what's happening here. But long may it continue for Villa. Brilliant start. All you Villa fans who've watched me for a while will understand. And if you're new here, this is what we're trying to do on the channel. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not a fan channel. Well done, Villa. 4th straight win. Outstanding stuff. Next up is Leeds United, who played at home to Wolves and went under 1-0 in this one. And I said in my preview, here we go. This is a really good yardstick, measuring stick, marker, whatever you want to call for Leeds. Because mad 4-3 game against Liverpool. Great. Announce your arrival live on Sky. Fine. Mad 4-3 win over Fulham. Okay. Against another championship team from last season. Then 2 games against Sheffield United and against Man City. Far more viable. Far less goals. No crazy chance conversion, which Leeds were on in the first games. Good performance against Sheffield United. Tight victory. And then really good. Should really have beaten Manchester City. But I looked at this one and I said, right, here is the measuring stick. Fulham were promoted in 17-18. They've got the Mendes connection, the Portuguese players coming in. They've spent, they've built up, and they've done really well in the Premier League. And the whole point why this is a good measuring stick is Leeds and, Liverpool and Man City, who Leeds have played, will be expected to be in the top 3. Probably the top 2 even. Anything less will be considered a poor season. Sheffield United and Fulham will be expected to be, probably looking at Sheffield United's start now, in the bottom quartile for sure now with the bad start, and they're chasing their tails a bit. With Wolves will not be expected to be in the top 4, but they won't be expected to be in the bottom 4, and they will be expected to be competitive. This is why this is a good marker for what Leeds want to do. And Leeds really will want to be in that category. Given their start, I don't think it's unreasonable to say, maybe we can adjust that out a little bit and say, look, Leeds won't be expecting to be in the top 6, but they won't be expecting to be in the bottom 6, and they'll be expected to be competitive in pretty much all of their games, I would say. Now they've done Liverpool and Man City. I mean, what else is there that could be worse or more difficult than that? So this was going to be a really, really big yardstick. Leeds, well, they were going to be completely stable, but Liam Cooper, you can see Pascal Struijk starting at centre-half in this one. Cooper didn't make it through the warm-up. Harrison comes back in. Otherwise, it's as you were. And good news really for Leeds is that after a long, long while, Rodrigo has made that position next to Click his own. We've seen over the last couple of years, well, was it going to be Hernandez, but then he'd have to cover out wide, wouldn't he? Forshaw, was it supposed to be him with Click? Possibly. And maybe even Forshaw where Phillips is and Phillips with Click. You know, we've seen all sorts of different things tried there by Bielsa, but looks like Rodrigo has got that down now. So the Leeds team, stable as you like, which is good, which is what we want to see. Meslier, Hembling-Cook, Struijk, Dallas. I think Leeds fans would prefer that to be Cooper, or maybe going forward, Llorente. We'll see. Phillips sitting as ever. Harrison, Rodrigo, Click, Costa, and Pat Bamford up top for Wolves. Patricio, Bolly, Cody, Killman, Saiss and Semedo wingbacks, Moutinho and Dendonka really sitting with Neto trying to get forward to support Podence and Raul Jimenez. Now, this was a bit of a game of two halves, but then it wasn't. And I'll explain what I mean. Here's some first half action. This was the best chance that Leeds sort of forced, and it did come from a set play, which is revealing in itself there. Rodrigo managing to chest that down. If you look, Semedo's close. And in the end, it would have taken a big, really slashed, sort of powerful shot to get that in past Patricio, who was behind it and made the save. Then, I wanted to put this one in because I thought it was revealing. End of stoppage time. Wolves countering. And that is Podence, who, I mean, look, there's plenty of players behind the ball. But open play, counter-attack, and he manages to get the shot off there. And could he have found the corner there? It's blocked out in the end, and he doesn't. Now, the pattern of this first half was that Leeds had loads and loads of the ball, but Wolves were very well and solidly set up with the three at the back. And then when either Costa down one side or Harrison got it down the other, the wing-backs were right folded back, and then in behind them a tight three centre-half, often with the other wing-back, the other side, folding in. So almost like a back four behind them, whilst the wide wing-back engages the attacking player for Wolves. And it was very hard for Leeds to play through. That's the point where Leeds would then, you know, the fullback will either overlap or underlap, and then is there a ball into midfield, and you get that triangle and that overload. Wolves did not let them do it, and Leeds could not create big openings, couldn't create good crossing positions, and it's revealing that the best chances were from corners. So, although Leeds had a lot of the ball, Wolves sat in for that first half, made it hard for Leeds to create those moments where they've been so dominant in the past couple of seasons. And really, even though, you know, the numbers will overwhelmingly be possession in Leeds' favour, pass completion in Leeds' favour, in terms of actual decent openings, I would have thought Nuno would have been quite happy with that at half-time. And if the plan was to then open up in the second half, well, he did exactly that. And here is the goal. Bit of a disappointing one for Leeds, and it would be remiss of me not to say it is a bit of a jammy goal as well, because there's a big deflection on it. The one thing Leeds fans will be disappointed with is that Jimenez has got the ball there on the edge of the D. Dallas is with him, but Jimenez has taken that ball from right all the way across to left. He's then been able to work a shooting position where, you know, should someone be tighter and should they be closer? I know Dallas has been fantastic for Leeds, but, you know, I think Bielsa will take a look at that and say, he's carried it all the way across there, comes back on the right foot, makes space for the shot, away you go. What you can't countenance for now is Phillips, who looks quite well positioned, is going to waft his head at this, just like that, and we'll go back to the previous shot. Meslier then obviously moves to his left, and the ball, as we so often see, not only does it just deflect the other way, it deflects right into the corner as well. So, on the one hand, unlucky with the deflection, bit of a jammy goal. But on the other hand, I have to say, the game was moving in Wolves' favour at this point. They'd had the offside goal disallowed. They'd looked a lot more dangerous than they were in the first half. And the game state in the second half was not Leeds having loads of the ball and Wolves sitting in and frustrating, which it was in the first half. That's probably the biggest opening that Leeds managed to sort of force. And again, that's revealing in itself. Look how tight the three centre-halves are for Wolves there. Bolly closing down the ball. He's probably not tight enough, but he's quite the athlete, Bolly, and he's going to get a charge down on Hernandez. And then Cody and Killman, like the width of the 6-yard box, that's what I was talking about the support. So even when Harrison can get down the left-hand side, you can see on the corner of the picture, so loaded and the team shape and compact that they just didn't allow Leeds any big chances in this game. And it's difficult. The trap was set, and I don't feel it's fair on Leeds to say the trap was set and they walked into it. They didn't. That's unfair. I think this is a great learning curve for Leeds because a lot of teams in the Championship tried to do this to Leeds. They knew they weren't going to be able to match Leeds the past 2 years for possession or for creating chances, etc. So what they tried to do was, stack the defence and keep them out. And most Championship teams weren't good enough to do it. This is Wolves. This is Bolly and Cody at the back with Patrizio in goal and Gianmoutinho screening, in front of the back four. So I'd be quite flattered, honestly, if I was a Leeds fan. And I know Wolves this is not unique for Leeds. They'll play like this against other teams. But Leeds are deemed good enough in the Premier League for Wolves to take this tactic and really sit in. And, they didn't play Ruben Neves. They wanted Dendoncker screening in front there with Neto kind of. I think that's quite a revealing tell from Nuno that he respected Leeds and he wanted to play this counter style. Obviously, they had the quality of players to do it with, Neto on the break and Raul Jimenez getting the goal, albeit a bit of a lucky one. But interesting. I think it tells us a lot. The yardstick says, is it the measuring stick? Leeds, well, they came up short ultimately because they lost, but they would have learned a hell of a lot here. And I don't think Bielsa's ever going to tweak. But now, having this experience of coming up against a team, a Premier League team, top half Premier League team, with quality, who's going to say, look, you're probably better at us, pattern of play and moving the ball. We're going to sit in and we're going to counter you. So maybe Leeds are going to come up against that a few times this season. They'll win games where it happens. They'll break them down. They'll create the big chance. But they will lose other games in this fashion where teams sit in and, take the moment. But I thought Wolves played it quite well. And like I say, it'll be a good learning curve for the Leeds players. Look there, 67 on the possession, 13 shots to 7. But then look, 3 shots on target to 2 in Wolves' favour. So that's fairly revealing. Look, 1 big chance to Leeds to 0 for Wolves. So on another day, and Leeds fans didn't like it when I said it in the reverse for some of their other games, so they should like it now. On another day, that's a clean sheet for Leeds and they don't lose that game. That's viable, sustainable, 0 big chances conceded. I like that a lot. But you've got to play the game state, not the numbers. And I have to say, the game state said to me, Wolves are defending well and reasonably comfortably. We can't see Leeds, for all their possession, creating, I've not put 8 pictures up of Pat Bamford missing a load of sitters. That's not what we put up. The game state says Wolves played this quite well. And anybody who watched that period of about 50 to 60, 65 minutes will know that Wolves looked very dangerous in that period, didn't they? They just opened up and, started to get those moments. So, Leeds, as you'd imagine, look, 5-5-3 on the passes to 2-6-9. But really interesting match. Be interested in your comments on this from a Leeds persuasion. What do you take from this now? What can you look at going forward from a Leeds point of view where you're going to come up against this again? With this style, you're probably not going to come up against it with better players unless Spurs do it. And Spurs could. You can see Mourinho going there and saying, okay, I'll sit in and let them have the ball. And it's even worse with Spurs because they've got Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, haven't they? Which is superior to anything that Wolves have got. But I don't think other teams will... But maybe they're the two that could do it the best. And I don't think Leeds will come up against this tactic executed as well as Wolves did it last night. I still think there's plenty of viable, sustainable, good stuff from Leeds. Beautiful pattern of play. They keep the ball well. The system is so solid. Maybe a Cooper start in there or a Llorente in there. I don't know. Does that maybe predict a higher chance that they keep the clean sheet? I don't know. I don't want to be unfair to Struick or indeed to Cooper if Llorente is ultimately going to be the centre-half partner for Koch, who was excellent again, especially in the first half of this one. So looking at it from a Leeds point of view, plenty of sustainable evidence. I'm going to ignore those first 2 games because they're mental and they're 4-3. But really, look at those last 3 games. Low on the goals. No one's blowing Leeds away. Look, Sterling scored for Man City and Wolves got a deflected goal. Otherwise, that's all they've conceded in those 3 games. It looks very viable. And again, talking about the measuring stick, look at the next 2 games. It's Villa, who are a recent Championship rival, on fire at the top of the league. And then Leicester, who Villa have just gone to and won. So these are really the teams that are going to define Leeds' season. I think Leeds are going to do well against the teams that are down the bottom. But we think Villa might be, somewhere in that, not the top 4 or the bottom 4. And we think Leicester actually might be this season now if teams like Tottenham and Everton are going to take those other top 4 positions. So, very, very interesting to conclude there. Get your comments in on Leeds and what you think of that defeat last night at home to Wolves. It's not as simple as, Leeds lost, everything is terrible. It's really not. There's a lot of caveats there. And I know people like me to reach a solid definitive conclusion. Well, my solid definitive conclusion is I'm not too worried. If I was a Leeds fan, I'd think, okay, lot of good stuff there, and the negatives that they were are not going to be prevalent week after week after week. I think, like I said, Wolves is a bit of a one-off. Maybe you'd worry about playing someone like Spurs who could execute a similar style, but if a team like Burnley does it, you'd think, well, have they got the quality to score that goal? Okay, maybe a set play or whatever. So that would be my solid enough conclusion. Let me know what you think down there in the comments. Moving on, and it is West Brom 0, Burnley 0. A first clean sheet for West Brom. A second point. So as we talk about our next 2 dearly departed teams, things are improving, aren't they, after those first weeks of lots of goals conceded and defeats, etc. West Brom, the 4-2-3-1 again. And look now at the centre halves there. No Ajayi and no Bartley and no O'Shea that were literally the back 3. So Bilic really trying some stuff out here. And some players, and football is ruthless, isn't it? It's absolutely ruthless. Some players that we really respect and did a great job for West Brom last season. Look, Sawyers on the bench, Ajayi on the bench, particularly those 2 not utilised, and a new signing straight in up front. So Bilic is trying stuff out, and it is ruthless. Like I said, Sawyers and Ajayi came in last season, key to West Brom getting promoted, but didn't play in this game. So Johnston in goal, Townsend and Furlong are the fullbacks. So I don't know where Gibbs is. Someone will let me know in the comments though. He's not on the bench, so maybe he's injured. Hegazi and Ivanovic. So experienced and strong as well. Think about the build of those 2. No double pivot. It's Livermore sitting in front. Gallagher then probably legs, and he's very good at breaking forward, with Krovinovic as well in central midfield. Really interesting selection. Pereira and Diangana. There is your quality, but a little bit stiffer through the spine, I think. And then, finally, well, this is a 14-month-old feeling. West Brom, do they have their striker now? They tried Zahor, they tried Austin, Robson-Kanu throughout last season. Robinson, a couple of goals against Chelsea, didn't he? But Carlin Grant in now, 15 million quid, we think. And he starts up top. Against the Burnley side, 4-4-2, love it. Pope, Peters, Long, Tarkowski, Taylor, Goodmanson, Westwood, Brownhill, McNeil, Barnes and Wood up top. And this is going to be one for the goalkeeping fans, I think. There is Barnes. I don't know who the blurry player is throwing himself into the tackle. Is it Gallagher? Possibly. Win a prize if you can identify that player. Barnes is going to lash that, and Johnston is going to make a good reaction save just to his left. Then, Ivanovic, that's probably the biggest chance for West Brom. That's maybe a bit of a disingenuous pause from me. It looks like Ivanovic has got a lot of time. Literally, by the time he swings his foot at that, there are about 3 players within about 12 inches of it. So, close in on the goal, but blocked out by those Burnley defenders. Now, that is a big chance, isn't it? Chris Wood on the back post, free header, and I can't remember, is that one saved or does that one hit the crossbar? I think that one hits the crossbar there, but certainly riding by the seat of their pants there, West Brom at some points in this game. Let's have a look at the numbers. So, probably the most positive numbers we've seen from any West Brom game. And that's what I was talking about when I was talking about the Chelsea game. I'm always looking for sustainability in the future. I know I use that word over and again in these videos, but this is far more sustainable than the Chelsea game where they conceded like 25 shots and 4 big chances or something. So 56-44 on the possession, which you'd expect against Burnley. 13 shots to 9, that's good. 6 on target to 4, that's good. 8 corners to 2. So, attacking-wise, quite positive for, and general between the boxes play, quite positive for West Brom. Obviously, we want to see some goals and some big chances created. However, they did concede 2 big chances and Burnley did hit the post twice. But Sam Johnston played well in the goal and they kept the clean sheet. So, if this is going to go in the right way, and West Brom are going to start winning some games, we need to see some low percentage chances taken. I'm looking at Diangana and Pereira, or those 2 guys need to create some big chances for Gallagher arriving in the box or Karlan Grant, their new signing. But it's a clean sheet and it's more viable than we've seen so far. Be interested in Baggies fans' thoughts, especially on essentially 2 of the heroes from last season, Ajayi and Sawyers, on the bench in this one, and the most viable Premier League performance. So, look at the first 2. Well, we've definitely improved since then. 8 goals conceded and 2 defeats in the first 2 games. Let's, again, draw a line under the Chelsea game. Mad, 3-0 up, and then back to 3-3. Southampton disappointing. So, if you're a Baggies fan and you're looking at Brighton and Fulham coming up, if you can limit the chances in the way you did in this game against Burnley, there needs to be a little bit more attacking. And look, we have seen West Brom score 5 goals in those 2 games against Chelsea and at Everton. A couple of worldies, I have to say, especially in the Everton game. But that's what needs to happen for this to swing and for that victory to come. But 2 points up. Not in the relegation zone. We'll look at the table, and that's where we are with West Brom at the moment. Get your thoughts down in the comments. Right, dearly departed Derby on, it was Sunday lunchtime. I didn't get to watch. I was working, which is annoying. Would have wanted to do a watch along on this one and couldn't. It was Sheffield United 1, Fulham 1, and we went into this game saying, these are our 2 lowest dearly departed teams and neither of them have a point. So either someone's going to get their first win or they're both going to get off the mark with some points. Now, from a dearly departed point of view, which nobody really cares about other than me or the watchers of this channel, it's nice that they both got off the mark, but both managers would have rather, let's have a winner in this game, gamble on it being me. And it was a draw, which it's okay. It's, as I say, it gets you off the 0, but you'd definitely be rather having a win at, 5 games in now. Let's have a look at the Blades team. So, that's interesting, isn't it? Ender Stevens now is the solution in at centre-back. Although, look, it's not going to last very long, is it? So, Ramsdale in goal, Basham, Egan, Stevens. Remember, they're coping without the excellent Jack O'Connell, who's going to be out for a while. Max Lowe plays wing-back, Baldock the other side, but 19 minutes, Lowe goes out and it's back to Jack Robinson at centre-half. And I don't know if I'm Jack Robinson, I'm also like, oh, look, I'm back in by default here because of an injury and Wilder has tried me and he wanted to give Stevens a go there. So we'll see how that pans out. Ollie Norwood back in midfield with Berger and Lundstrom. McGoldrick, McBurney up top. New signing Brewster on the bench. Now, I've looked at the heat maps and that formation does look accurate. So, look, when we've talked about Leeds and we've talked about Villa, there's a very obvious difference here that they're very set in their formation, team shape, and first 11. These two teams, well, Sheffield United more so, but Fulham definitely aren't. We've probably seen a different system in every game and new players arriving. Sadly for Scott Parker, Joachim Andersen came in. He had been brought in as centre-half and immediately got injured. So bad news there. He tries a 3 at the back here. So Areola in goal. Adarabio, who we've seen on loan at West Brom and Blackburn last season, comes in. He's playing Premier League football now with Reeve and Iain, who Parker seems quite high on, obviously. Maybe Parker solving his right-back issues by literally not playing one here. 3 centre-backs and wing-backs. But, so back 3, back 5. Is it matching up with Sheffield United or is it a new system he wants to try? Anthony Robinson I'd fancy as a wing-back. Ivan Cavallero as a wing-back? Really? This guy's main trick is playing front right, cutting in and sticking curlers in with his left foot. So, yeah, interesting where we are with Fulham in terms of trying so much different stuff. Anguissa and Kearney. Then, some good threat here now with Lookman and Loftus-Cheek flanking Mitrovic. So, they've almost made it more stable and more attacking at the same time if this works out. And again, it's ruthless, isn't it? People like Marek Ruddock and Joe Bryan, who were so important to the promotion, left on the bench. Here is a big chance for Ollie McBurney there on the near post. Gets a good contact on that header, but it's straight at Ramsdale. Arrow in the goal. There is a handball there by... Who is that? That is Robinson, isn't it? Must have been the substitute. Going up with Mitrovic there, penalised for handball. But Mitro tries to stick the penalty down the middle. Billy Sharp's going to show him how to do it properly later. And hits the top of the bar. And over it goes. Mitro missing the penalty. And I wanted to take a freeze frame of this because we did the watch-along Fulham-Brentford in the League Cup. And okay, it's the Carabao Cup, whatever you want to call it. Often reserve teams played in there and they had the air of a friendly. But Lookman came in and really made a difference. And he does seem to have made a difference full stop in Fulham's 11. And look where he receives the ball here. He is going to dribble. He gets one favourable bounce, but it's brilliant. Dribbles it all the way into the box and then lashes it past Ramsdale for the opening goal. 1-0 to Fulham. Penalty down the other end now. And again, that's Robinson, isn't it? He makes the challenge there, just gets there first. It's a bit clumsy by Mitro, who sort of fly kicks and, it's one of those where you get penalised for mistiming the tackle, don't you? You get there second and he kicks underneath the leg of Robinson. Penalty given, and Billy Sharp, if you can spot the ball there, it is nestling in the back of the net. He slams it straight down the middle. Billy Sharp, the old master with no doubt his 1,000th goal of his career or whatever, and he makes it 1-1. Here are the numbers. We'll see how it plays. 59-41 in possession for Fulham. 15-10 shots for Fulham, but 6 shots on target. Each always evens out, doesn't it? 5-2 on the corners is some indication of territory. Look at the big chances, though. 3 big chances to 2 for Sheffield United. Obviously, we can take... Well, you can and can't take one off for both because they both had penalties. However, Sheffield United scored theirs and Fulham missed theirs. So, pretty tight game, this one. I think looking at the eye test, looking at the numbers, that's one you could put in there. Could have gone either way bracket. Let me know what you think if you're a Sheffield United or a Fulham fan on that. I'm sure both sets of fans, if you'd said, look, draw is not an option in this game, one team has to win, would have taken the gamble for the 3 points. But a draw is what we get. Let's look down the left-hand side, or the left-hand side as I'm looking, is Sheffield United's fixtures there. And look, both teams have stopped the rot, haven't they? Ignore that bottom one, that's last season. But defeat against Wolves. Then, well, the red card, yeah, okay. Then lose a tight game against Leeds. Again, a bit of a wobbly refereeing decision with David Luiz in the Arsenal game. But finally, I guess something goes for them in Mitro missing the penalty, and they get their first point here, Sheffield United, in a fairly tight game. It feels like the first time they've been in a tight game and they've not lost it. Nothing's gone against them, either other team taking their chances or these mitigating factors with a couple of shirt pull refereeing decisions we've spoken about for Blades. So, look, you've lost your first 4. A draw is an improvement, isn't it, for goodness sake? Fulham, same thing here. They would have loved a clean sheet. They really, really would have loved a clean sheet. But Mitro defended in his box there, conceding the penalty. However, if I'm Scott Parker and I look at the first 3 games, I'm like, oh my God, just goals conceded everywhere. Then I look at those recent 2 and I would be like, okay, we've been competitive and we've only conceded 2 goals in those games. Need to work towards a clean sheet if the goals aren't going to be forthcoming. But there's definitely a sense of an improving trajectory for both. Obviously, go figure. I know I'll get it in the comments. Can't be much worse than lose, can it? But there you go. And sorry, I just wanted to, before we go to the table there, just to wrap up. Look, Palace now and West Brom for Fulham. Will they be targeting those? Look at Sheffield United's next 2. Liverpool and Man City. I know which 2 fixtures I would rather have coming up, let's just say. So we'll see who's higher in the table out of our dearly departed there over those last 2 games. Right. Let's have a look at the league table. We'll do a proper link there. So, wow. Aston Villa, outstanding start. 4 straight victories. And if you're not going to be a snowflake about it, Villa fans, I can say a much more sustainable outlook now after this Leicester game than after those first 3. Brilliant start. Looks very, very promising for Villa. Scrolling down, and we see Leeds now in 10th position, which I'm sure, look, big picture, things look good at Leeds. They really do look good. They look very sustainable. They've already taken points in 3 of 5 games. They've already played Manchester City and Liverpool, and they're halfway up the table. And we have plenty of evidence that the team is solid. The signings are improving them. Rafinha came on as well. We're still waiting to see Llorente, aren't we? Things look good if you're a Leeds fan. Don't get too het up about that defeat last night. Then, West Brom, well, no win yet. But they're not in the relegation zone. Mitigating factor is Burnley have played a game less. So their destiny essentially is not in their hands as it stands. But improvement, clean sheet. I'm sure Fulham would take a 0-0 draw and a clean sheet now, wouldn't they? But still, we're looking for their first win, aren't they? And then down the bottom there, Blades and Fulham sharing the points. The bottom 2, both in need of a win. And Fulham's fixtures look more viable for that happening than Sheffield United's do. Right, that is our dearly departed show for today. Again, thank you to Fan First for sponsoring the channel. www.fanfirst, for God's sake, butchering the read. Sorry, Matt. Fanfirst.co.uk. Head over there, register your email, register your team, and go and get rating. You can rate the players, the managers, the referees, even the VAR. If you haven't seen a game, it's a good chance for you to see the eye test. If you don't like looking at the numbers like I do, I don't like looking at just the numbers. I want my own test, I want other people's eye test, and I want the numbers to form the most educated opinion that with the information that I've got, especially if I haven't seen a game for 90 minutes. Fan First can help with that, and everybody loves to give their opinion, don't they? Support the channel, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, join the Fantasy League T5QBR0, and I did get the podcast updated. We'll try and put this up today as well as a podcast. Support financially, amazon.co.uk/shop/the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Over on Patreon, $3 tier, $5 tier there. And you can sponsor the channel. You can be a fan sponsor like Jay has. Jay Coyle, dearly departed, also known as Ben Couldn't Bear to Lose Us. And you can be a business sponsor like Matt and Fan First has. And again, one more plug, it's in the description, www.fanfirst.co.uk. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're sure we've got some very happy Villa fans, some pretty satisfied Leeds fans, some optimistic West Brom fans, maybe Fulham fans thinking they're moving in the right direction, and probably some worried Sheffield United fans looking at the next two games. But let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been Dearly Departed. We will be back for a Championship watch-along tonight, Norwich versus Birmingham. But for your next Dearly Departed show, it'll be Friday, this coming Friday, ahead of Villa Leeds. And I'm so sorry, guys, I've got to work on Friday night. I would love to have done a watch-along. Would have done very good numbers on YouTube as well. But man's got to work, hey? Man's got to work. More Premier League stuff on the Fantasy League show coming up. That'll be out tomorrow as well. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And it's a big over and out.